All right, it is time. This is Infinite Investment Game. I changed the YouTube channel not too long ago, but I'm gonna be talking about today. I'm gonna be talking about what you really should be thinking about investing in when it comes to NFTs versus crypto versus sports cards or just trading cards in general versus comic books and video games. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick 1 minute overview on all this stuff. But right before I get in, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please share these videos that I have, and check out earlier videos that I've come about because I've predicted a lot of stuff. I predicted the sports market crash. I predicted certain stuff that was going to go up and certain stuff was going to go down, and like people who were probably going to get into the hobby. So to start off, I'm going to start off with sports cards. Obviously, back in 2019, they start to get hot, and they really got hot in 2020, especially when the pandemic happened. A little bit after the pandemic started. So basically, sports cars is in this weird situation where things got super hot and stuff is cooling down, and things are just starting to level out now. And it probably is going to take a couple years before it fully recovers. So it may be another year of stuff going down. Overall, there's some stuff still going to go up, but I do think there's still major opportunities in sports cards, and you need to be investing in sports cards. I think opportunities, especially in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's still not that much stuff out there, not that much stuff to grade. Same with Pokemon. I believe from probably 1999 to 2002, 2001, 2002. There's probably a lot of stuff that you can get. Um, and then, I mean, with sports cards, I think the cards that have the most to grow are probably UFC, tennis, and probably wrestling as well, and soccer. These have the lowest pop counts compared to um, football, baseball, and basketball. The reason why is really the other ones I mentioned are growing fast, except tennis, are growing faster than everything else. Um, and there's only a few people that, except for WWE and wrestling, there's only a few people that people are going to want long term. So it's pretty easy to kind of figure that out and just focus on those people. And you can gather a really nice collection. When it comes to other sports like baseball, I think it's like the Mike Trouts of the world that you want to have, or like vintage 1970s or under for the most part for baseball cards. Just vintage stuff mostly for baseball. Football, I would say, quarterbacks, and you're looking at the top five quarterbacks to ever play the game. That's who you should be investing in, maybe 10. And then if you're investing in young guys, I think you should only be doing like three guys every 10 years, to be honest with you. And then basketball, I think is the biggest one that was the hottest, is cooling down. If you're going to do current players, I think Luka and Giannis you can't miss. But I would say you probably want to say refractors and autographs, serial number refractors and autographs, if you can afford it. If not, build your way up. And then, it's vintage stuff. I think those are the choices that you can get. And the advantages for sports cards has more to do with there's a variety of different players. These players are just cards in general. They're easy to transfer different places, and easy to handle. There's a nostalgic art factor to it. And sports cards are, athletes are super famous. And, there are certain people who suck, but or seeing you think was not going to be good, and they surprise you to be really good. So it's a way to really gain money and switch hands, and there's been a long sports card coach for a long time. You compare that versus comic books. I'm getting into comic books, but the actual comic books, at least the older stuff, you want to stay with, and really the main storylines for the main characters. And if there's anyone like Morbius or anyone like that, what you need to do is look at where their first appearance was. Don't do the standalone comics because most of those won't be worth anything unless you think it's going to be like Black Panther scenario. I mean, even then, that's like $4,000 for a 9.8 CGS #1 for Black Panther, which is still money, but it's not like tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. So the advantage for comic books is you have comic book cards and those things you can go into too. And they still have lower pop and they have some advantages, but I think comic books have a longer history than comic book cards. But you still have the grading aspect and all that stuff. But it's way less inventory for the main characters. And these characters are global phenomenons. They're more fictional, so that's part of it. But and it's hard to really find a lot of the best stuff. But I think it's a steady increase over time, and unless it's just the safest investment for comic books in a sense. But you don't really have that flexibility. It's harder to flip comics than anything else. And a lot of times you have to wait for a movie or a TV show versus LeBron or Luka, somebody can score 50 points every night for a couple nights or for a week, and people have interest in buying them, and prices can go up. Then the other one is graded video games. I just got into graded video games recently. Graded video games is one of the newer ones, which probably means they're going to way more growth in a short amount of time. But I think it's risky just because most of the major video games, in PlayStation 1 and 2, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, stuff like that, that's still not as old as like other things. I think the issue with this is just too many inventory for video games. And you want sealed video games if you want anything. But I think the issue has more to do with you just don't have trusted grading companies, and it's still not in the mainstream yet. Some of the best games and original stuff is going to be sell for a lot of money. And I think just sell it. Unless there's something really nostalgia. It lacks the nostalgia. The video games lack the nostalgia that you get from, cards and also comic books. So that's an issue. But it still has a nostalgia factor, and it's still not that hard to carry. It does take up more space, but I do think it's a way to diversify. And a lot of stuff is cheaper, not necessarily cheaper to grade, but cheaper to buy, especially sealed. And the stuff that you're looking for is a lot easier to find, in my opinion. And then other stuff, cryptocurrency, NFTs kind of go together. I think NFTs is going to be really big because it's going to have like a sports car, comic book kind of feel to it, and maybe video game kind of feel to it. As far as utility and replication of like what it means to the broader scope of like society or whatever. However, there's going to be specific utilities where I think it's going to change. Capitalism not rooted. I'm not sure if NFTs are really like as much of it is an investment, but maybe not the way we're thinking of. And I think it's very volatile and it will crash, but I think it will rebuild itself. So like what should you invest in out of all these? My personal opinion, you should be investing in all of them. First, you invest in what you're interested in because you're going to spend the time to actually learn it. But I would definitely say if you're going to invest in something, you're going to invest a little bit of sports cards, a little bit of comic books, a little bit of, games, and you want the stuff to be graded at the best, and probably pick stuff that you want to know about and a little bit more nostalgic, but also rare and still very valuable. And that's a trick. And then also NFTs too. I think you should diversify, just because interest rates are going up, and I think assets for these collectible stuff will go down overall. So I do think you should be trying to get some of this stuff out of your hands. So yeah, please let me know how I did. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we will talk again. Bye.